Have you ever noticed something strange? Two people walk into the same room. One person starts talking immediately. Talking some more. By minute 5, everyone is secretly checking their phone. By minute 10, even the dog wants to leave. Then another person walks in. They don't do anything dramatic. They don't announce themselves. They don't try to impress anyone. But somehow, people listen, people pay attention, people respect them. And you sit there wondering, hold on, what superpower does this person have? Today we're talking about the one habit Carl Jung believed separates people who naturally earn respect from people who spend their whole lives chasing it. And here's the funny part. Most people are doing the exact opposite. They think respect comes from being louder. It doesn't. They think respect comes from showing off. It doesn't. They think respect comes from proving everybody wrong. Definitely doesn't. In fact, every time you desperately try to force people to respect you, you actually lose respect. It's like chasing a cat. The harder you chase it, the faster it runs away. Then the moment you stop caring, suddenly the cat is sitting on your lap. Cats are basically tiny life coaches. And today we're going to talk about why. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab whatever snack you're pretending is healthy, and let's get into it. Because by the end of this video, you may realize that respect has never been something you had to earn from other people. It starts somewhere else. And once you understand this, everything changes. Now, Carl Jung spent years studying human behavior. He noticed that most people wear masks, not the kind you wear on your face, the invisible kind, the please like me mask, the please approve of me mask, the I hope nobody notices I'm nervous mask. Some people wear so many masks they could open their own costume store. And here's what Jung discovered. The more desperately you need approval, the less powerful you appear. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who constantly says things like, "Do you think I'm right? Are you mad at me? Do you like me? Was that okay? Should I have said that? Should I not have said that? Maybe I should have said that." 5 minutes later, they're still analyzing a conversation from 2018. Meanwhile, everybody else has moved on. Why? Because when your happiness depends on everybody else's opinion, people can feel it. You become easy to influence, easy to control, easy to manipulate, and respect starts disappearing. But the people who earn genuine respect have something different. They have a quiet habit, a simple habit, a habit that sounds small but changes everything. They trust themselves. That's it. Simple, but powerful. Not because they're always right. Nobody is. Not because they're perfect. Nobody is. Not because they know everything. If someone claims they know everything, run. That person is dangerous, or trying to sell a very expensive online course. The respected person simply trusts themselves enough to stand by their own values, even when other people disagree. And this is where things get interesting, because most people think confidence means walking around like you're the king of the universe, chest out, chin up, looking like you own 7 private islands. That's not confidence. That's usually insecurity wearing sunglasses. Real confidence is much quieter. It's being okay if someone disagrees with you. It's being okay if everyone doesn't clap for you. It's being okay if someone doesn't understand you. Because you know who you are. And that changes everything. Let me give you an example. Imagine 2 people post a photo online. The first person uploads it, then spends the next 7 hours checking likes. Refresh, 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 refresh. At this point, the refresh button is filing a restraining order. The second person uploads it, then goes outside, lives life, talks to people, eats food, exists as a human being. Which person seems more confident? Exactly. The difference is self-trust. And self-trust creates respect. Now, before we continue, I want you to think about something. Have you ever changed who you are just so somebody would like you? Be honest. Most of us have done it. Maybe you laughed at a joke that wasn't funny. Maybe you agreed with someone when you actually disagreed. Maybe you stayed quiet when you wanted to speak. Maybe you pretended to enjoy something you hated, like those mystery-flavored jelly beans. Who decided toothpaste should be a candy flavor? Who approved that meeting? But seriously, every time we abandon ourselves to gain approval, we lose a little bit of respect for ourselves. And people notice. Not consciously, but they feel it. Humans are surprisingly good at detecting uncertainty. We can sense when someone believes in themselves, and we can sense when someone doesn't. That's why the one habit we're talking about today is so powerful. The habit is simple. Stop asking the world for permission to be yourself. The moment you stop doing that, something incredible happens. You become calmer. You become stronger. You become harder to manipulate. And people start respecting you without you having to force it. But here's where most people make a mistake. They hear this and think, okay, I'll stop caring what people think. Then they become rude. No, that's not what Jung meant. There's a huge difference between confidence and arrogance. Confidence says, I respect myself. Arrogance says, I'm better than everyone. Confidence listens. Arrogance lectures. Confidence learns. Arrogance knows everything. Confidence is attractive. Arrogance is exhausting. You know that person who always has the answer for everything? You could say, it's raining. And somehow they turn it into a TED Talk. Nobody wants that. The respected person doesn't need to dominate every conversation. They don't need to win every argument, because they aren't trying to prove their worth every 5 minutes. They already know their worth, and that's what makes them powerful. Now here's something funny. The people who are most respected are often the people who are perfectly comfortable saying 3 magical words. I don't know. That's it. 3 words. Yet somehow they terrify insecure people, because insecure people think they must know everything. But secure people know they don't. And admitting it actually increases respect. Think about that. Pretending to know everything weakens respect. Being honest builds respect. Funny how life works. It's almost like authenticity has more power than performance. And that's exactly what Jung was trying to teach. Because the person who trusts themselves doesn't need to perform for the world. They simply show up as they are. And that energy is impossible to fake. Now here's where things get really interesting, because most people don't lose respect in one big moment. It's not some dramatic movie scene. Nobody walks into your house, points at you and says, "Attention everyone, we no longer respect this person." That's not how it happens. Respect usually disappears little by little. Tiny habits, tiny choices, tiny moments. And most people never notice. One of the biggest respect killers is over-explaining yourself. Oh boy, this one gets almost everybody. Have you ever sent a text, then another text explaining the first text, then another text explaining why you sent the second text, then another text apologizing for the third text? At that point you're writing a novel. You started with a message. Now you're publishing a trilogy, and the funny thing is, the other person probably read the first text and moved on with their day. Meanwhile, you're sitting there creating a documentary. Jung understood something powerful. People who trust themselves don't constantly explain their existence. They don't need approval stamps on every decision. Imagine someone says, "Why did you choose that?" A self-trusting person says, "Because it felt right for me." Done. Finished. Conversation over. Meanwhile, the approval seeker gives a 45-minute presentation complete with charts, graphs, and emotional footnotes, and somehow ends up less convincing. The lesson? Say what you mean what you say. Then let it breathe. Not every decision needs a courtroom defense. Now, let's talk about something everybody struggles with: criticism. Because the moment someone criticizes us, our brain suddenly acts like we're being chased by a tiger. Except the tiger is named Karen, and Karen left a comment online. Think about it. 100 people compliment you. One person criticizes you. Who moves into your head rent-free? Exactly. That one person. It's amazing. Your brain treats criticism like a VIP guest. Front row seat, free snacks, unlimited access. Meanwhile, all the compliments are standing outside. Jung believed growth happens when we stop running from criticism and start learning from it. Notice I said learning, not obeying. Big difference. Some criticism is useful. Some criticism is nonsense. One person says, "Your voice is annoying." Another says, "I love your voice." Who is right? Both. Neither. People see the world differently. You cannot build your identity on opinions that change every 5 minutes. If you do, you'll spend your entire life spinning in circles. And trust me, the world already has enough spinning. My internet connection does that every week. What respected people do differently is simple. They listen, they consider, then they decide for themselves. That's self-trust, and that's what earns respect. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who seemed completely comfortable being themselves? Not perfect, not flashy, just comfortable. Maybe they laugh loudly, maybe they're quirky, maybe they wear socks that don't match, maybe they tell terrible jokes, like mine. Yet somehow everybody likes being around them. Why? Because authenticity is relaxing. People get tired of performances. We spend all day around people trying to impress everybody. The moment someone is genuine, it's refreshing. It's like finding a cold drink on a hot day. You immediately notice it. And Jung believed authenticity was one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. Because the real you has energy. The fake version of you requires maintenance. Think about how exhausting it is pretending to be someone else. You have to remember what mask you're wearing, who you're trying to impress, what image you're trying to maintain. It's exhausting. No wonder people are tired. They're carrying 10 different versions of themselves. Meanwhile, the authentic person is free, and freedom is attractive. Now here's another secret respected people know. They don't chase every argument. This is huge. Because some people treat arguments like Pokemon. They gotta catch them all. Facebook argument? I'm in. Family argument? Let's go. Random stranger argument? Perfect. 3 hours later, nobody has changed their mind. Everyone is angry. The dog is stressed. Nothing was accomplished. Respected people understand something. Not every invitation deserves an RSVP. Just because someone wants a fight doesn't mean you have to join. Sometimes the strongest response is no response. That takes confidence, because insecure people need the last word. Secure people need peace, and peace wins every time. Now let's talk about a habit that changes everything. Keeping promises to yourself. This one sounds simple, but it might be the most important thing we discuss today. Imagine your best friend constantly makes promises and breaks them. I'll be there. They don't show up. I'll call you. They don't call. I'll help you. They disappear. Eventually, trust disappears. Right? Now here's the uncomfortable question. How many promises have you broken to yourself? I'll start tomorrow. I'll exercise. I'll finish that project. I'll believe in myself. Then tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. And little by little self-trust disappears. Jung understood that your relationship with yourself affects every other relationship. If you don't trust yourself, why would you expect confidence to grow? So start small. Tiny promises, tiny wins, and keep them. Because every promise you keep sends a message to your mind. The message is, I can trust myself. And when that trust grows, respect follows. Now here's something funny. Many people think respected people never feel nervous. Wrong. Completely wrong. Respected people get nervous too. They just don't let nervousness drive the car. Imagine you're driving. Confidence is behind the wheel. Fear is in the passenger seat. Fear can come along for the ride. That's fine. But fear doesn't get to touch the steering wheel. That's the difference. The goal isn't to eliminate fear. The goal is to move forward anyway, and every time you do, you build self-respect. And self-respect always comes before respect from others. Always. Now, before we finish, I want to share something that might change the way you see yourself. Most people spend years trying to convince others they're valuable. Years, decades even. But Jung's message was different. He believed your task isn't to become someone else. Your task is to become more fully yourself. Think about that. Not a copy, not a performance, not a character. You, the real you. The version underneath all the pressure, all the pretending, all the approval seeking. Because the moment you stop chasing validation, you start attracting respect. The moment you stop performing, you start connecting. The moment you trust yourself, people start trusting you too. And that's the habit, the one habit, self-trust. Not perfection, not popularity, not being the loudest person in the room. Self-trust, the quiet decision to stand by your values, to speak honestly, to learn from mistakes, to keep promises to yourself, to stop asking the world for permission to be who you are. Because respect isn't something you force, it's something you radiate. And the funny thing is, the people who spend the least time chasing respect usually receive the most of it. So here's my question for you. What is one promise you're going to make to yourself today? And more importantly, what is one promise you're actually going to keep? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And if this message connected with you, remember this. You don't need to become someone new. You don't need to impress everybody. You don't need permission. You only need the courage to trust yourself a little more than you did yesterday. And sometimes, that one small change can transform your entire life. Until next time, take care of yourself. And never underestimate the power of becoming exactly who you are.